Hello again, it's Liz from G-Mum's Place, and today I'm going to review Matthew Reilly's Contest. This is his first book ever, and it's amazing. It is so fast. It was published in '96. He published it himself, and yeah, let's just get into it. This is the synopsis. The New York State Library, a brooding labyrinth of towering bookcases, narrow aisles, and spiralling staircases. For Dr. Stephen Swain and his daughter Holly, it is the site of a nightmare. For one night, this historic building is to be the venue for a contest in which Swain is to compete, whether he likes it or not. The rules are simple. 7 contestants will enter, only one will leave. With his daughter in his arms, Swain is plunged into a terrifying fight for survival. He can choose to run, to hide, or to fight. But if he wants to live, he has to win. For in this contest, unless you leave as the victor, you do not leave at all. Okay, like I said, it was self-published in 1996. And this is a note from the author about contest. Hello, Matthew Reilly here. Now, before we get on with the show, I'd like, if I may, to share with you a few secrets about contests. First of all, as some of you may already know, Contest was my first novel. The story of how I self-published it after every major publisher in Sydney rejected it has been pretty well documented elsewhere, so I won't go into that here. Suffice it to say that only 1,000 copies of Contest were ever released, all paid for by yours truly. And then came Ice Station. Now, many people have taken the time to tell me what a ride they found Ice Station to be. Such comments please me immensely because that is what it was supposed to be, a non-stop roller coaster ride on paper. What few people know, however, is that when I wrote Ice Station, I had one all-consuming goal: to top Contest. Contest is the book that made Ice Station and later Temple what it was. If it doesn't seem as large in scale as its two successors, it is because it was the first. It was the prototype upon which they were built. A prototype for a different style of book. A super fast-paced, absolutely non-stop thriller. Everybody has to start somewhere. I started with Contest. That said, I think the story in Contest is easily the fastest of all my books. It is like a sports car stripped down to its raw components: wheels, frame, engine. No fancy paintwork, no fancy upholstery, just raw, non-stop energy. As any author will tell you, you only get one first book, and that first one always occupies a special place in your heart. Contest is like that for me. It was the first one, and now as I look back on it, I can see without a doubt that it set the tone for everything to come. I truly hope you have as much fun reading it as I did writing it. Matthew Reilly wrote that in November of 2000, which is when it was picked up by Pan Macmillan to be published in paperback. Okay, now normally I would read the first paragraph of a book, but if I read the first paragraph of this book, you would find that very confusing. So I've picked another section in the book. In fact, I've picked a few sections that I'm going to read out. It is, like he said, a very fast-paced roller coaster. All right. In this section, Dr. Swain, or Stephen, is being briefed by his advisor, who is called Selexon. Now, Selexon is an alien, and he's from the race that runs the Presidian, which is the contest. So, the Presidian, Selexon began, has been held on 6 previous occasions, and this, he said, looking at the study hall around him, is the 7th. It is held approximately once every 1,000 Earth years, each time on a different world, and in every system, except Earth, it is held in only the highest esteem. Systems? Yes, contestant, systems. Selexon's tone was now that of a weary adult addressing a 5-year-old. Other worlds, other intelligent life, there are 7 in total. Selexon paused for a moment, lifting a hand to massage his brow. He looked as if he was trying very hard to keep himself calm. Finally, he looked up at Swain. "You didn't know that, did you? The part about other worlds and other intelligent life?" No. "I am dead," whispered Selexon, presumably to himself, but Swain heard him clearly. "Why?" he asked innocently. "Why are you dead? What is this Presidian?" Selexon sighed in exasperation. He held his hands out, palms up. "What do you think it is?" he said sharply, barely concealing the condescension in his voice. "It is a competition, a battle, a contest. 7 contestants enter the labyrinth, and only 1 leaves. It is a fight to the death." He could see the disbelief spread across Swain's face. Selexon threw up his hands. "By the gods, you do not even understand what you are here for. Do you not see?" Selexon slowed down for a moment, lowering his voice, trying desperately to control himself. "Let me begin again. You have been chosen to represent your species in the ultimate contest in the universe. A contest that dates back over 6 millennia, that bases itself on a principle that goes light years beyond any notion of sport that you could possibly imagine. That is the Presidian. It is a battle between hunters, athletes, warriors, creatures coming from every corner of the universe, possessed of skill, courage, and intelligence, prepared to stake their very lives on their extraordinary talents at hunting, stalking, and killing." Selexon shook his head. "There is no coming back from defeat in the Presidian. There is no return match. Defeat in the Presidian is no loss of pride, it is loss of life. Every contestant who enters the labyrinth accepts that in this contest the only alternative to ultimate victory is certain death. It is quite simple. 7 will enter, the best will win, the lesser will die, until only 1 remains. If, of course, 1 does remain." So I've picked out various excerpts to explain the contest. All right, when Selexon and Swain first meet, Selexon puts a wristband on Swain's left wrist, and here he is explaining the wristband. "Please, just look at your wristband." Swain looked at the watch, at the display beneath the glowing green light. It read, "Incomplete, 3. Selexon said, "See that number, 3? Soon that number will reach 7. When it does, we will know that all 7 contestants have been teleported into the labyrinth. Then the Presidian will begin." He looked seriously at Swain. "You are here now, and whether you like it or not, you have become an integral part of this contest." Selexon pointed at the wristband. "And when that number hits 7, you will become fair game for 6 other contestants, who all have the same goal that you have, to get out." "What's that supposed to mean?" "Remember what I told you," Selexon said. 7 enter, but only 1 leaves. The labyrinth is completely electrified. There is absolutely no way out, except by teleport, and that is initialized only when 1 contestant remains in the labyrinth. That is the exit from the labyrinth, and only the winner leaves. If, of course, there is a winner." Selexon slowed down. "Mr. Swain, the other contestants, they don't care whether or not you decide to accept your status as contestant. They will kill you anyway, because they are all well aware that unless every contestant bar 1 is dead, no one leaves the labyrinth. The ultimate contest, Mr. Swain." Swain looked at the little man in disbelief. He let out a slow breath through his nose. "So you're telling me that not only are we stuck in here, but that soon there will be 6 other guys in here too, whose only way out is to make sure that I'm dead?" "Yes, that is right." "Holy shit!" That's what I'd say too. All right, the next section and the last section that I'll read out is explaining why they wear the wristband. What if someone got out of this maze of yours? Now, I know you think it can't happen, but what if it did? What happens then? You credit me with a faith I do not possess. No, I accept your question quite easily, because it can happen. In fact, it has happened. Contestants have been known to be ejected from the labyrinth, either by design or by simple accident. So what happens? Again, it is your wristband that governs the situation, Selexon said. As you know, an electric field covers this labyrinth. Your wristband operates in accordance with that field. If for some reason your wristband detects that it is no longer surrounded by the electric field, it automatically sets a timer for self-detonation. A timer for self-detonation, Swain said. You mean it explodes? Not instantly. There is a time limit. You are allowed 15 min. Jesus Christ, you put a goddamn bomb on my wrist. Why didn't you tell me that before? Swain couldn't believe it. It was incredible. He began to fiddle hurriedly with the wristband, trying to get it off. It won't come off, Selexon said calmly. It can't come off. You waste your time even trying. Shit, muttered Swain, still grabbing at the solid metal band. Language, Holly said, waving an admonishing finger at Swain. As I was saying, Selexon said, if by some chance you are expelled from the labyrinth, you will have 15 minutes to re-enter it. Otherwise, detonation will occur. He looked sadly at Swain, still fiddling with the wristband. Finally, Swain gave up. You needn't worry, Selexon said. Detonation will only occur upon expulsion from the labyrinth. And as I admit that it has happened before, I also add that it has not happened often. No one gets out. Mr. Swain, you must see now that whichever way you go, there remains but one answer. Unless you leave this contest as the victor, you do not leave at all. And so the book goes. How he came up with these characters, these aliens for the Presidian, amazes me. He has such a wild imagination. I've read a few of his books, but of all, Contest is still my favourite. And he does it so very well. Whenever I pick up Contest, and I've read it 3 or 4 times now, I find that I cannot put it down. It is not a book that you want to be at a doctor's surgery where you have to get up when they call your name. It's a book that you want to sit and read. 24 hours and I've finished the book every time, and I can't seem to get past that. If ever you get the chance to pick up a Matthew Reilly book, pick it up. Definitely worthwhile. I give Matthew Reilly 5 stars every time. And the fact that he's from Sydney and I'm from Melbourne just makes it better. Being an Aussie author, we don't have many. So, as always, if you like the video, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.